Welcome back to the Clack Shack. Today I'm going to be doing a video, and I want everybody to at least give it a chance and stick around. For my laser guys, I'm going to open up a new area to obtain your materials that you use to do your projects and stuff. I'm going to open up your eyes to something that some of y'all may not know exists. And for my sawmill guys, you may want to watch this too, because I know a lot of guys have mills and maybe like me, just a hobby, but some of you guys actually try to make a living with it, and you know, try to pay off your expenses for having the mill. And you know, tractors cost money, mills cost money, just like the laser that I have, it costs money too. Well, today's video is going to kind of help both of those groups. So whether you're here for my playlist on the laser engraving, or whether you're here for my playlist on the sawmilling, you're going to want to stick around, because sawmillers, there's a market out there that you're not getting into, and that is the guys like me that do laser engraving. And for the laser engravers, there's a place that you can get wood out there other than Home Depot or Lowe's or any of these places that you might not have even know existed. And I guarantee you there's a few right in your area that would be more than glad to cut you up some wood that you could use to do your laser engraving. So everybody stick around and pay attention to this video, and like I said, it will benefit the guys in the laser area as well as the sawmill. And if y'all, you know, if you're watching this video and you have a laser and you're looking for some of this wood, you know, drop a comment down below, and maybe one of my sawmill friends that may be watching this video, maybe they'll be near you and they have some wood that they'd be willing to cut for you and help you out, and both of you win. So stick around and we're going to go through it. Alright guys, welcome back to the Clack Shack. Today the topic is going to be wood. More particularly, we're going to be talking about the cedar. I've had a lot of folks ask me, you know, about where I get my cedar that I use to cut out some of the items that I make. I do a lot of things with cedar. I've got earring holder boards that I make. I've got a lot of coasters that I make out of cedar. And of course, I got a lot of other things. I do portraits on cedar. I do a lot of things with my laser. And folks just want to know, where do you find that good cedar? So today I'm gonna make a video. We've had a few days of rain. It's cleared up a little bit today. It's looking nice outside. It's probably gonna still be a little soggy, but hopefully under the shed where the mill is, it won't be that bad. But we're gonna show you where the cedar that I use comes from. Just stick around. All right, guys. Step one of this project is picking the right log. And this is the cedar stack, and some of this isn't necessarily cedar down here at the bottom, but it's a Chinese fir, and so the wood is real weather tolerant, kind of like cedar. So I kind of stack it all together and keep it together when I can. But today I have decided that we're going to use this piece of cedar right here. This is a piece off of a storm recovered cedar tree that the wind had taken it down, and that's why, if you notice here, it's kind of split. Is when the wind blew it over, the tree split, and part of the log went one way and part went the other. And so this piece here, it's got some cracks in it and stuff from where the weathering and the wind busted it. So I really don't want to use it to make any kind of big lumber, and the project that we're working on is kind of small. I need nice clean wood with not that many knots, but I don't really care if it has any small little hairline cracks. We can work around that. And so we're going to take this guy right here, get it cleaned up, and move on to step two. All right, we got her moved. We got it loaded onto the mill. And because of the fact that this thing got broken in half, one side of it is relatively flat where it broke. And so what we've done is I've got that side on the mill to try to help it set flat. The first thing we got to do is we got to go through here and make sure that most of the bark, we're going to pull that off and look for any kind of nails or any kind of surprises that may have gotten embedded into the wood over the years. One of the things that you have to be careful with is when you get these trees from somebody's house, and especially if they're in the yard, from the ground up to about 10 foot, you never know what you're going to find, whether it be an old clothesline or whether it be nails, screws, bullets. There's all kind of surprises in these trees. So we're going to clean the bark off of this thing, and the next step, we're going to go over it with the metal detector to make sure that we don't have any metal in it. But I'm going to go ahead and save you having to watch me do this whole process. But for those of y'all on my channel that watch because of the mill works, this little tool right here is something I've run across, and it works really well. I had been using a more or less like a flat hoe that you use to take shingles off of a roof, and it worked pretty well. But I found this guy at Tractor Supply. It's called a Razorback. Sometimes it's a little too aggressive with the cutting edge, but you can flip it around and use it to fill them pretty good. But I'm going to run through that right quick, start skinning this thing out. But I'm probably going to spare y'all the grief of having to watch it in the video, maybe fast forward through it or something. So let me get to work. Alright, I'm going to pause here for a second and go over this for the guys that may have their own mill. This is the metal detector that I use. Sorry, ring got it. It's not a really expensive one, but it's not the cheapest one on the market either. Alright guys, if you can see what I'm doing here, I think we're going to be good with this piece of wood. As you can see, somebody got a little happy with the chainsaw and kind of messed me up there. That's going to be something we're going to have to work around. But for the project that we're doing, all I really need is this 5-inch wide and about 7-inch long pieces of wood. But I need those a 1/4 inch thick, so we're going to slab this thing out in 1/4 inch boards here in just a second. But I've got some pretty nice grain cedar here. Nothing too terrible. And like I said, this log really wouldn't have done me any good for anything else. This was a storm damaged tree that I got called to basically help out an elderly guy that didn't want to have to pay somebody to move it. He got out there apparently and tried to do it himself. The family did, and realized it was more than they wanted to fool with. So I got this guy basically given to me for the effort to go get it. But I'm going to set the camera up, and I'm going to start knocking 1/4 inch boards off of this thing. We're going to cut them down really, really thin. Probably going to do a new blade before that, because I wanted to leave that blade on and make sure I didn't find any nails or any kind of old lawnmower blades, or you'd be surprised what you find in a log. But now that I've made sure that there's nothing on the outside, we're going to pray that there's nothing on the inside. Go ahead and swap out the blade, put a nice sharp blade on there, and get to knocking off some boards. So stick around. Alright guys, I got the blade changed out. Got me a nice sharp blade on there so we can make these thin cuts without having to worry about a whole lot of variation in the cut. I also sharpen my own blade, so I don't want to run that thing until it's too dull, because it just makes my job harder later. So we hung that one up and got a new one on there, or not a new one, but a resharpened blade, and we're fixing to start dropping some boards. Stick around. Alright guys, we got us a few boards cut off here, so I'm going to call it quits for the moment for the milling. And we're going to go on and go through the next couple of processes. I want to be able to walk y'all through this thing all the way from start to finish. And we're only about halfway there so far. But I'm going to show you what we got here. I did quite a few boards. These are 1/4 inch thick cedar. And like I said, I cut those thin, but I did that on purpose. The need that I have for them, I want them a 1/4 inch thick. So there's no need in me cutting them longer than that when that's what I need. So the next phase of this operation is going to take place down at the shop, at the Plank Shack that you all know. Like I said, 1/4 inch cedar boards. That's where you get them, right here. So we're going to take these guys down to the shop and go to the next step. But that's what we're working with. So I'm going to get these loaded on the tractor and go ahead and load everything up and head back down to the shack, and I'll meet you back there. Here we are back down at the shack, and we got us a nice little helping of boards here. I'm going to try to get this around where you can see. We got enough to keep us busy for a day or two anyway. I'm going to go ahead and show you the process. The two next parts that I'm going to take with this is I'm going to run these through the planer. One, because I cut them just a little thicker than what I wanted them to be. That way I can run through the planer and put a nice smooth edge on them, at least on one side. I'm not so much worried about having both sides smooth because of the nature of what we're making, but I at least want to have one smooth edge on the front of it. That gives me a little bit easier surface to burn. Alright guys, the wood's out of the planer now, and as you can see, I'm not trying to make these things be cabinet quality. The nature of this build, and you'll see what it is in the end, it's not really required. I just like to have a smooth surface to be able to laser to, and that way it looks better in the finished product. I left the backside the way it is because part of the, I guess the allure to this item is the fact that you can turn it around and look at the back of it and you can tell that it's straight off the sawmill. So we're trying to go for a little bit of a niche as far as homegrown, homemade wood products that you can use your laser and make something real nice out of it. So stick around and I'll show you what we're going to make. Alright, we're at the final step, guys. We went all the way from a log or a tree that was laying in someone's yard all the way to right here where I told you we would when we started the video. A piece of 1/4 inch smooth cedar that we can take and put in a laser and make something cool out of. So we're going to lay this thing in here, and I'm going to use my camera to make sure I got it lined up. The thing that you do want to avoid when using wood that you cut yourself is these knots. I tried to get as few as I can, but you're going to get a few of them, and I'm not one to waste wood, so I'm going to just cut one of my images out of this piece of wood as a demonstration to y'all guys and to kind of show you that it can be done. And that way we went all the way from tree to all the way into the finished product. So I'm going to line everything up using my camera and light burn and try to stay away from those knots and get an image loaded, and we'll be right back. Alright guys, that looked like it done it. I've got the image loaded. I've got the laser set. I'm going to adjust my depth just a little bit. I hadn't reconfigured it when I put this material on here, and the last cut I did on a piece of 1/4 inch Luan, which is a little bit thinner, so I'm going to readjust. One thing that I will tell you when you're cutting the thicker materials is if you'll cheat down just a little bit, like maybe a millimeter or two. I know you're supposed to flip the leg down and then rest it on the material, but if you'll kick that leg out just a little bit, or maybe just eyeball it and let it down another millimeter or two, you will actually find that you can cut thicker than you can if you focus on the surface of the material. And reason being is that that beam comes to that focal point at a certain distance from the laser, and if your material is too thick, then it gets out of focus before it cuts all the way through. But if you cheat down a little bit, you'll be out of focus on the surface and out of focus on the back side, but you'll be in focus in the center. Just a little cheat that you can use if you're able to. But we're going to hit the start button and let this thing go, and I'm going to let it run, and I'm going to include that in the video. For those of y'all that have your own lasers and really don't care to watch that happen, feel free to kick on out. I would appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the channel and kind of help support what I'm doing and teaching people about how to use their lasers and just educate them on how I do things. So if you want to kick out now and not watch the laser, feel free. Hit the subscribe button on your way out if you don't mind. But for those of y'all that are here and curious and have maybe never seen this happen and might be thinking about trying to get a laser, I'm going to let the video run, and we're going to add that in just so that you can see what happens. So here we go. All right, there it is, guys. We got it done. This wood, like I said, it's very thick, and I do a one pass, and so you kind of got to take your thumbs and just kind of press that guy out of the hole, and there's the finished product. We have taken this from a log that was laying on my stack into a finished product, and for all you follows or may, these I think are going to be available. This might be a little bit of a tease, but I think she's going to have these available for some of her fans. Maybe you can check with her and see. But for all of you sawmillers out there, drop a comment down below if you'd be interested in cutting some of this 1/4 inch stuff from a laser, guys. And for the laser guys, if you're looking for wood like this and you just don't know where to find it, you're tired of the Home Depot and Lowe's stuff, you know, paying an arm and a leg and getting not real good quality wood, then maybe you need to talk to some of the guys running the mills in your area. I'm a member of a couple of groups of sawmill operators, and I promise you, there's one near you. I don't care if you're in California or if you're in New York, there's a sawmill operator somewhere in your area that would be more than glad to help you out. A lot of these guys are like me. They bought a mill, cut their own wood, and they like to try to tinker and make a little extra cash to buy blades and whatnot. So hit it up, drop a comment if you're looking for wood, drop your location, and maybe one of my sawmill guys will see it, and they can drop you a little note and let you know where they are, and y'all can get together. And same thing with the sawmill guys. If you got it, put your location down there and what you'd be willing to do, and maybe everybody can get together on this video here, and we'll all win, and not got to worry about going to Home Depot and trying to find this stuff, because you're not going to get this quality of wood at Home Depot, I can promise you. But that's all for today. Like I said, mash the subscribe button if you don't mind, and support what we got going on here, and have a good day.